Super excited about the win. Unbelievable environment the other night. Fans came out and packed it, and it was loud. Our guys loved it. That's college ball. That's what we've been looking for as a team on the field for 4 quarters, and obviously just homecoming. The environment we got from everybody was phenomenal. So appreciate everybody that came out and got loud, and stayed till the end. Proud of how the guys continue to fight over the last month. It's been hard. There's not been a ton of things to show on the field other than just some improvement, but in the win-loss column, it's hard to stay the course when you just don't see the results show the way you want, and they did. And we had a great week of work and prep for those guys and played our best game, and we got in the win column, and hopefully it'll be something that can propel us into more wins. Hopefully we can stack 2 on top of this one, and then we'll start worrying about 3 later. But it's a great step in the right direction. All 3 phases did things that needed to happen to beat a good football team. We know the challenges that Air Force presents, about the time and energy our defensive staff and defensive players put in during the offseason paid off in a big way. Made it very difficult for them to move the ball. Eliminated just a few explosives on the day and came up with turnovers. And then offensively, as balanced as we've been, finished with several touchdowns when we had to have them. Love to have a couple early when we had to kick field goals, but Connor did a great job putting them through and matching pace with those guys. Made the most out of the possessions that we had. You don't get a lot, and we made the most out of all of them with the exception of one that kind of got away, I think. So really, really pleased in that sense. We need to build on it. We got to go on the road. We've got 2 weeks in a row on the road in this league. It's always difficult. And Colorado State's coming off a win, so you're going to get them with some confidence as well. We'll need to improve, eliminate the turnovers, eliminate the penalties, eliminate any mistakes, and try to get better this week and find a way to win. So, what questions do you have?
Mayhorn with the Egg Ship. I want to ask about the transition from covering or preparing to cover the triple option to the air raid or air raid adjacent, which is what Jay Norvell does. Is that as significant a change as maybe we from the outside might think, or is it really not that big of a deal?
Well, I think the biggest transition is getting into triple option mode, getting back to kind of spread football. You would like to think could be more comfortable, albeit we put a lot of time and energy into Air Force over the course of the week and open week and summer. So we've got to get back in the thought process of seeing things differently. And hard to say exactly what that challenge is. You would assume that it is tougher to get into triple option mode than it is to get out of it. But we put a lot of time and energy into it, and they saw a lot of it. So we're gonna have to do a really good job of kind of reteaching some things this week and making sure we're in the right place. And you're right, air raid spreads you out, puts you all over the place. They want to spread the ball around. Hopefully we can make them very uncomfortable with our front, our pass rush, and cover as well as we have the last couple of weeks.
Asked too about the defensive havoc plays against Air Force or sort of lack thereof, which it turns out you didn't really need in that game. That has been, a focus of Ephraim Bonda for years now. And you had, I think, 1 tackle for loss in the game and a couple pass deflections, but that's about it. Has that been sort of a focus of being able to win games in different ways defensively than just making big plays?
Well, that style of offense doesn't really lend itself to a lot of tackles for loss and sacks. I mean, they don't drop back a lot. We did get there and struggled to get him on the ground. I thought we had a couple of good opportunities. But to me, where our style of defense showed up was when they pitched the ball and put the ball in the perimeter, how fast we were able to chase it down, how fast we were able to recover on the play action shots downfield. We didn't give up the big post, the big vertical. They had the one exchange where we tripped. Really, Dom Tatum's going right to the guy to cover him down and gets picked off. Or we matched up on that stuff. So it wasn't so much tackles for loss and sacks as it was the speed on the perimeter, the speed to chase things down without them getting out into open space, and the speed to be able to recover on the play actions. We did still make it very difficult for them to move the ball. If you look at just the average per carry and the yardage compared to what they normally have, it did show up. It just looks a little bit different in the stat line.
Brian Phillips, Big Blue, USU Aggie News. Last year in your shootout with Air Force, they ran for, if I remember right, somewhere around 470 yards or so. Saturday, they only picked up 260. Can you talk about maybe what you guys did differently or what you recognized that led to such a turnaround and the success Saturday night?
Yeah, and probably good conversation with Coach Bonda would help you. I'm going to be crude in this sense. We had to really adjust our style of front play. You obviously you go into that game with a mindset. This is what we're going to do. A lot of our vertical push up field was a problem. It created gaps that we couldn't fill at the second and third level. We changed our techniques dramatically. We played more lateral, more squeezing gaps down. I think we had a much better beat on what to expect from Air Force as well. They spent a tremendous amount of time looking for tendencies and alignment keys, and it did help us. We knew a lot better about what to expect based off of how they lined down and deployed their fronts. So technically we changed, and then just a better idea of what to anticipate and better communication with our guys. I just think we played more physically as well. I think the defense had a chip on their shoulder. We did not want to give up 42 points and 400 something yards rushing again. We came away from that game feeling very lucky that we got a win. So I think they attacked the problem from every area in terms of technique, in terms of tendencies, and also just physical nature of play, playing downhill, but not necessarily playing vertically, which we do a lot in the sense that we're trying to get to the quarterback and create tackles for loss. It just doesn't benefit you against that particular system.
Anderson, Jason Turner from the Herald Journal. They've had their struggles on offense, but Morrill is coming off a really big game against Nevada, and Horton has been a threat in the receiving game all season long, almost 100 yards a game. What do you see from those guys that make them a challenge to prepare for?
Yeah, I mean they're good at what they do in the spread. I mean Matt's been running the system since he was born, I think, and it shows. Horton did a phenomenal job at Nevada before he transferred over with them, and he definitely is dynamic. He was a guy we would have loved to have been able to get out of the portal before he made the jump to go there. I think the thing about the air raid and their version of it is they will spread the ball around to everybody. Now, Horton's obviously having a big year, and their best player is going to still get the ball, but they do make you defend the entire field. They always have. It's balanced by numbers to some degree. And when they're healthy, if they're healthy, and I think everybody struggles being healthy this time of the year, then they've got enough weapons to hurt you. And then you go from what we just mentioned, you go from the triple option now back to the air raid. We're going to be super disciplined and cover well, and we're going to have to get pass rush. We're going to have to get to the quarterback and make him very uncomfortable.
Al Lewis from KBNU. Speaking of the quarterback, I think he was a freshman, played this last week against Nevada, but he had a horrible game in a lot of ways until the last drive.
Yeah.
So he comes in probably with a little bit of momentum into this game, I would have to think, because they didn't take him out or didn't make a change of that.
Yeah, no doubt. I think you just get better and better the more you play in it. It's a offense built around repetition. There's a lot of principles of the air raid in our system. It's kind of where I started 20 some odd years ago with parts of the air raid from Sonny Dykes and Mike Leach and that crew, and our RPO game and our spread game just kind of developed over the years. And so you see some principles in ours. It's about repetition. It's about going back to a lot of the same concepts, knowing you're going to get different answers, and quarterbacks get better the more reps they get. Now they've been, again, beat up. We don't really exactly know what we're going to see, who's getting healthy, who's coming back and playing, who have they moved away from. They've had a lot of guys in the portal. I mean, knowing what we're going to see in terms of personnel is a challenge, but knowing the system you're going to see, they're dedicated to it, and they've been really, really good at it at Nevada, and you're starting to see them get better at it there at Colorado State.
They did also get a little bit more running in the game.
Yeah.
The running backs look a little bit better.
Yeah, and I think the balance always helps you. It does us. Even guys in the air raid, when you've looked at their best teams, they were able to run the ball effectively and stay balanced in the sense of when you play coverage, they're willing to run the ball at you. When you bring people, they're going to take their matchups. I think it fits very similar to what we think. You've got to stay balanced, or you become very very one-dimensional, very, very tough for us to be that kind of team.
Coach, Trent Wood with Deseret News. You kind of referenced this just a little while ago. You're midway through the season. Injuries are a thing. Health is obviously a thing. I'm curious about the overall health of your team, how this year the health compares maybe to previous seasons.
I've had worse years in terms of season-ending injuries. Now, we have lost some guys, as we all know, that we're not going to get back. We've been fortunate that this past week we didn't lose any more, just some bumps and bruises. Coming out of that style of game, it always makes you very nervous with the cut blocks and the type of offense that they run, that you may lose a guy. We didn't. We got out of it fairly healthy. Bumps and bruises that we can recover from. We got Alfred Edwards back. I think we'll have Brock Lane back full speed this week. Other than that, Mike Anyuana should be back as well. I think we're going to get guys back, not lose them. This time of the season, midway through, we're pretty fortunate in the sense that the injury bug hasn't gone further along. I've been in this shape before where we had double-digit season-ending injuries and had to figure out a way to finish the year and get to the finish line. We did that, but I'm hoping we can stay healthy. We're in pretty good shape right now. We don't have a lot of room to lose more. We are thin at several positions, so we need to be really smart also about our practice habits, not to create problems that we don't have already.
Cranston, 106.9 The Fan. You've talked a lot about player leadership and player discipline, keeping each other accountable. How is that progressing as a team, as you're monitoring that as the head coach?
It's been better. I mean, I look at a guy like Hunter Reynolds, who has really, really stepped up, along with I think several others. He has probably been the most vocal, the most visible on the defensive side of the ball, both MJ Tafise and AJ Bong-Pachan right there kind of with him. That's been really good to see. I think Brian Cobb's stepped up, and you've seen it both on the field but also behind the scenes. I think Alfred Edwards and Dolphin Chandler both very, very vocal the last couple weeks. Justin McGriff, very vocal the last couple weeks, trying to take ownership, lead from inside, and it's starting to show. It looks different than it did a year ago. It's not the same group, but in their own way, guys are taking ownership. The main thing is the group as a whole has continued to work. Even though it's been frustrating and things weren't going perfectly, the group as a whole has accepted coaching, accepted the leadership of other guys, and continue to work, and we've continued to get better.
Just as a follow-up, just the discipline on the field with penalties. I know you alluded to trying to improve some of those, but some of those egregious 15-yard penalties seem to be declining a lot.
Yeah, we've made a big emphasis. Guys realize how much it's hurting us. We can't recover from those. We had some competitive penalties the other night, but we only had one kind of careless, after the play action after a score. Cole Moats got a throat slash, action penalty, which I saw pop up a couple times this weekend, as a matter of fact, across ball. It's just something we can't do. We've stayed away from the other ones. All the other penalties were competitive plays, things that we'll try to teach and get away from, but not the lack of discipline caught up in the emotion penalties. We've avoided most of those, and hopefully we can even dial that back another notch.
Al again down at the radio station. You won the conference last year because you won road games. Here we go. You're starting your first conference road game. Will you talk about that last year? Was there some stew you guys may have put together to eat, or what's going on there?
It wasn't anything in particular. It was just 1 week at a time, one game at a time. We take the same approach. The process really hasn't changed. We're 13-0 here when we win the turnover battle and the explosive play battle. I mean, the formula is pretty clear. We need to play physical and reduce the explosive play. We need to create those through energy and effort and great execution on offense. We can't turn the ball over. We got to create turnovers. Those are the same reasons that we won games on the road last year. We affected those areas through effort and our conditioning and really decision-making and discipline. And this group's learning that. We've put that together twice this year, and those are the 2 games we've won. So the conversation is going to be about, the ability to go out and do that every week and control what you can control. We can control our energy. We can make good decisions and, throw the ball away and punt the ball when we need to. And obviously the effort that gets you to the second and third levels, gets you to a ball where you can strip it out, gets you to a batted ball, you can pick it off. I mean, those are the things we've got to continue to affect.
Patrick Mayhorn again. I want to ask about you only had there was 1 3 and out in the first half and then 1 in the second half when you were drawing all those timeouts near the end of the game. To what do you credit that success and how do you maintain that moving forward?
Same thing, effort and execution, man. Those things don't change. We play physical football on both fronts, which we did. We ran the ball. We were able to control the run, not stop it. You don't stop it against Air Force. Control the run, I would say, is what we did effectively. Staying balanced, staying efficient, and playing with great effort. And if we'll reduce the turnovers and create turnovers, that is the recipe for success. And that allows you to make people punt. That allows you to extend drives and find a way to score points, even though it's in some cases field goals instead of touchdowns. So those things spread across all 3 phases of the game. And we did it the best we have all year. And it showed probably in the most competitive, cleanest game of the season. And we've got to keep doing that. We got to find a way to find consistency, which I know is easier said than done, but I do think we're trending in the right way and we've played better each week.
Sorry, Jason, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead, Brian. You're good.
Coach, with a couple games of tape on Cooper Lagasse now, defenses are naturally going to start to adjust. And I was taking a look at the passing chart, and it seems like, I don't know if it's Cooper or if it's the offense, is really favoring the right side of the field. He was 10 for 11 for 162 yards outside the right half, 2 for 3 in the middle of the field, went 2 for 5 on the left side with his interception coming over there. Is that something that you look at, look to make play calling adjustments, or talk to Coop about that, just as far as not becoming too reliant over there?
Yeah, I mean, we tried to push the ball in every area of the field, but some of it just came down to pure one-on-one matchups. Some of it's just nature of where the ball ended up after a kick return or punt return. We want to be balanced, and to me, balance means spreading around to everybody, and it means run pass. So I don't think there was any particular reason other than some of it's just that's where the ball ended up after a return, ended up after a kick. And from there, we started to operate. The way they played us this week did allow for some one-on-one matchups, and that you got your single guy in the boundary and you take him. Some of the RPOs were the same way. We missed a couple very good opportunities to push the ball left side of the field due to a couple things. Protectional breakdown on one, just a missed opportunity on Coop's part on another that should have very easily been a touchdown, but I wouldn't read a ton into it. If it continues on a weekly basis, maybe so, but really the game wasn't called that way. It just kind of turned out that way.
I wanted to ask you about the Cooper and Brian Cox connection. It seems like they have an extra level of chemistry. Is that something that you see? And then about Brian specifically, is this the level of production that you thought you were going to be getting when he transferred?
It is definitely what we expected we could get from him. He's super solid. Loved him all along the way. Knew he was a guy that would work hard, big body guy that didn't mind catching the ball with people around him. I think he had a great connection with Logan. He's continued that with Coop. They both have a lot of confidence in him. He's winning in one-on-one situations, and he's got a capacity to play the whole game. I don't feel like that. I don't feel like there's particularly any difference between their confidence in Terrell or in Griff. It's just one of those games where, man, everything we did with Cobb tended to turn out in a good way. We want to continue to spread it around. Want to make sure everybody's got to be defended, but his work ethic and the way he approaches every day, it does show up on the field. And he came through big when we absolutely had to have him. 3rd and 1 vertical catch that was tough to make, a 4th and 1 or 2 slant route with a competitive catch. Those were 2 of the biggest of the day, and clearly getting us on the board with a touchdown early with a slip move inside and getting over the top. So, I mean, he's playing at a really high level.
Anderson, Jason Turner again. they have the guys leading their team in tackle are both guys have been there for a long time. DeQuan Jackson, Cameron Carter, good football players. What do you see from that team defensively? What sticks at you with their defense?
Well, it starts up front, no doubt. Their front is disruptive. We struggled to keep him away from Logan last year. He got hit a lot in this particular game. We were able to create some opportunities downfield, but it came at a cost all day long. It was a challenge. They are very active, and with the 4 down, they want to create pass rush very similar to what we do, and they're built for it. The linebackers are downhill players. You got to do a great job up front. You really do. You got to get bodies on people. I just remember that game last year. A lot of times that we were getting up off the turf, even after plays that we made. A lot of hits on the quarterback, a lot of collisions. They made it tough for us at the line of scrimmage, and so it's where they're built the best. And then in the back end, they'll play man coverage. Now they've struggled in the back end at times. They've had some PIs called. We're going to have to play physical in man coverage and get loose.
Anderson, Eric Franson again. You were talking about the wide receivers earlier, and I meant to ask you this question for a couple of weeks, and I keep forgetting. But there was another instance on Saturday where wide receiver is wide on those splits, goes out of bounds, and has to come back in. That seems to happen almost every game. You've gotten hot over that a few times this season. But is that's the way that this team is operating offensively? Did those wide receivers have to stay so wide on those splits?
Well, we slipped some guys inside this week too. Matter of fact, the touchdown, Brian Cobb, the first one, he had that wide split and he slipped inside and got on top. I mean, we do want to spread the field unlike anybody else. There's a handful of teams in the country that take that approach. If you watch Tennessee this weekend, they play a very similar style of offense. A lot of us come from the same backgrounds. We are going to get forced out some, but we come right back in and put our feet back on the grass and made plays. One of the biggest conversions of the game on 3rd and 15 when Coop rolled to the right on a scramble, Brian Cobb stepped right back in the field and made the play. So the officials assured me, and I got confirmation that the touchdown last week that was called back was a missed call. I mean, if they get forced out, as long as they establish them back in the field, they can play ball. So we know that's part of having wide splits. We utilize that to our advantage. It is a challenge at times, but we feel like the benefits outweigh the challenges. And we just need to utilize different kinds of releases, different kinds of stacks, different kind of route combinations to help us. But it does open up the field. It does make it difficult on defenses to decide how to deploy their defensive players. It does help the run game, or it creates unbelievable one-on-ones on the outside. And we're getting better at manipulating both of those and taking advantage of those.
Coach Jake Ellis, Utah Statesman. You mentioned at the post-game conference that was a much-needed win. You broke the dam, right? But Colorado State did that last week as well. So what is that mindset going to be going in there? What are you going to have to do to get a win up there? Control
what we can control. Same things. You're going to hear the same message. Don't turn the ball over. Find a way to create a turnover or two. Stay away from the big mistake, the careless penalty, and play with great effort. I mean, that's the formula for us to win. When we do those things well, we're 13-0. When we don't, we're frustrated and we're talking about getting close or making too many mistakes. We cannot control them. We can't really focus a lot on them. We've got to just keep improving and getting better. Gives us a chance to compete. We could have avoided the turnover right before the half. We could have avoided several penalties and a bust on defense. Those are well within our control. So focus on us and be the best us we can be this week. Tends to keep us calm, gives us the best chance to be competitive. They're going to come in with a lot of confidence. They got over the hump. They found a way to win, and so we know we're going to get their best shot. We're going to get the best they've got. Anything else?
Brian Phillips one last time.
Okay.
2 straight years against Air Force, you guys used timely 4th down shovel passes to extend drives and lead to scores. Maybe without going into too much detail about your scheme, but maybe talk about what is behind making basically such a gutsy play call in such a crucial moment.
Some of it has to do with just how they play defense in that particular situation. We'd seen enough of those down and distances against them to have an idea. And also, man, there's multiple options on some of those plays. The ball could go several different places on that particular play. It just so happens the way they played it was kind of the way we anticipated it, and we got the answer we wanted. So you're going to have to go for it on fourth down against them because of the limited possessions. You better make them count. And we were 2 for 2 in those situations this week. If you look back to last couple games, we've not been as effective, and it definitely played into the outcome of the game. So we stepped up big when we needed to. That particular shovel pass hit at a great time, but it was really attacking something we felt comfortable was coming, and the guys executed at a really high level. Thanks, guys.
Eric Franson with 106.9 The Fan, and walk us through just the roller coaster of emotions there for you, where you had the penalty, and then the next play you get the fumble recovery.
It was definitely good to get the fumble recovery because I was a little bit confused on the penalty, but you move on to the next play, and playing the position that I play and playing for so long, I understand that the game goes on. You can't control everything, so continue to play, and when the moment comes, AJ made a great play and we just execute it.
Brian Phillips, Big Blue USU Aggie News. You're kind of the elder statesman of the cornerback group. Talk about your leadership role and how you're kind of coaching up some of the young guys, and even to an extent, AJ Carter, with him being new to the position this year.
The guys in the room are great, honestly. Everybody is on the same page. Everybody learns pretty quickly. So from a teaching standpoint, I don't really have to do too much. Coach Hicks does a great job, but my leadership is more just, keeping everybody, focused and on the same page, and making sure that no matter how things are going, we continue to work and, trust the plan, and everybody's bought in. So it's really easy to lead these guys, and honestly, they help me. So it's a win-win.
Al Lewis from KBNU Radio. How do you guys on defense keep AJ separated? Because you got AJ Carter, you got AJ Bonpachon. Who gets AJ, or how do you know who you're talking about when you're talking AJ on defense?
Honestly, I don't know. I guess I really don't know. Honestly, sometimes it gets confused. Sometimes you'll say AJ and they'll both look, but for the most part, they kind of got an intuition about when somebody's talking to them, and I mean. So that's good. It could be harder. It could be more difficult if they didn't know when somebody was talking to them.
Then let me just ask about, you go from most weeks you play a team that throws the ball like Colorado State does. You go to the week of Air Force. How about that transition of, this week now compared to last week for you as a defensive back?
Definitely staying locked in is important in this game because, like you said, they do run the ball so much. They run, and they want you to go to sleep, especially at the defensive back position, so that when they do get that one pass, they can throw it over the top of your head, and our coaches did a great job of telling us and making sure that our eyes were right and that we never fell asleep on any play, so it's really just the focus and the discipline.
Would you rather play as a defensive back? Do you want to be physical and make tackles or be disciplined that way, or do you want to play pass defense?
Obviously as a defensive back, I want to play pass defenses, so the ball's in the air and we can make plays. But I kind of always love playing Air Force because you go on with the mindset of knowing that it's going to be a physical game, and if you're up for the challenge, it's real fun. So, I still would prefer the ball to be in the air, though.
Jake Ellis, Utah Statesman. What was the locker room like after your guys' big win, and what does it mean for your morale and feeling for the rest of the season?
Oh, it was amazing. The guys were real happy. Everybody was up in spirits, and it's a big boost for our morale because it's not easy to stay focused and to pull out a win like that when things have been going the way they have this season. But nobody's flinched, nobody's put their head down. The coaches have done a great job making sure that they stay focused and they let us know that we're getting there and we're getting better. And it was great to see it pay off, and we knew it would. And it's just the first step. Continue to try and go 1-0 every week, and yeah, it was good for everybody.
Anything else for Andre?
Hey, Brian Phillips again. Got two huge road games coming up in the next 2 weeks. Talk about the mindset that you guys have adopted, just based off of last year, kind of the road warrior mentality. Talk about how you carried that over from last year to this year.
Yeah, with road trips, you always gotta have a lot of focus. You're going into somebody else's environment, their crowd, so really it really doesn't change the plan and what we're gonna do that much. It's just stay focused and continue to focus on us getting better. The opponent is just there, but every day and every week we're working to figure out how we can get better no matter where we go, whether we're here or we go on an away trip. The focus is always on us getting better and, putting a good product on the field when we play on Saturdays.
Well, now, Lewis from KVNU, I'll start you off. Is this the best stretch you've been in? Do you think that you've been here at Utah State at running the football and feeling consistent about what you're doing with your offense?
Most definitely. I feel great about how the game's been going up front and on the perimeter, the blocking. I feel like everything's back clicking. I think we're getting that swagger back.
A little bit about having a little different running style at times because you can play a little more power game, maybe than more of the zone read things and like that. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, most definitely. We like to set it up like that. Of course, you see, I can go up the middle, run between the holes, or I can get outside on the perimeter. Sorry, but yeah, everything's been working out, especially at practice too. So we see like some of the weaknesses the defenses have, and we just attack them and execute. We've been executing well.
One more for you. You didn't play the Colorado State game last year. I think
No,
that's
sir.
when you were hurt.
Yes, sir.
What do you remember about that game? I mean, Noah came in and he had about 100 yards. What do you remember even watching that game from the sideline or whatever? And what do you expect? Because a lot of their same defense are back.
Them guys was very physical. They was up field a lot. They was getting back there to Logan a lot. It was a lot of pressure, but Fado, I think he did a great job last year as far as trusting the run scheme, trusting his guys up front, and when the big plays came, he attacked them. He took full advantage of them, and I think that's the same mindset I have to have going into this week. Not every play gonna be a big play, but taking what they give me.
Jake Ellis, Utah Statesman. This is a team with a really aggressive defensive front, kind of like the Aggies, and they had a lot of tackles for loss, some good sacks, and then like you said, they were physical last year, and they got to Logan a lot. So what do you guys need to do to minimize losses in the backfield and to protect Cooper?
I think just preparing, going through practices, looking at the different fronts, the different stunts, their looks they're gonna give us, and just executing our job, which we didn't have. Just worrying about our individually assignment, like just making things happen. So I don't think it should be a big change from last year, but as far as like just executing every play, doing our job every play.
Eric Franson with 106.9 The Fan, and there are a couple of times on Saturday where you were able to pick up some blitzes that came and saved Cooper from giving him a little extra time. Do you anticipate you're going to have to do a lot of that on Saturday at Colorado State too?
Yes, sir, most definitely. Just getting to the film room, looking at. I've been watching a lot of film lately with Coach Keaton, extra film, and also with Coach Michael Gibbs, because he's really like the analyst. He breaks down everything. But yeah, just getting in the film room, and I expect them to bring a lot of blitz, and as far as I know, like I'm gonna get the job done. I've been blocking well, and that's something coming into the season I want to work on. So I'm excited for the challenge.
Does it feel like exciting to get back into kind of some competitive football? You guys were really struggling there for a while, but your conference record 1-1, you're still in the hunt. What does that feel like?
It feels great, and like I said earlier, feel like we're getting that swagger back. But we definitely gonna take it one practice at a time, one day at a time, one game at a time. So as long as it's an improvement week by week, we're fine with that, and that's all you can ask for.
Eric Franson, one more time. I know Coach has talked about seniors or other players kind of stepping up with their leadership and keeping each other accountable. How have you seen that kind of evolve as this season has gone on, especially now that you guys have got back in the win column?
With the losses, yeah, like we needed, like we know, like if you want to be a successful team, you got to be player led, can't be coaches driven. And that's what it was. A lot of guys stepped up, even guys that's not seniors. But me personally, I stepped up, and I can point out a lot of guys, but we most definitely, like the seniors stepped up a lot, and you can see it all through our practice. I know a lot of our practice not open, but through our practice, a lot of guys can witness like the seniors stepping up and making sure everybody running off the field, on and off the field, and just playing at a high energy, practicing how we play. So.
Calvin, Brian Phillips, Big Blue USU Aggie News. The offense, the style of offense that you guys run, a lot of times when you're carrying the ball out of backfield, sometimes it's a 2-yard gain, 3-yard gain, and then you'll burst for 12, 15, 18 yards. Talk about the mentality and the ability that you have the patience to wait for a hole to develop and make your move.
Most definitely. Just taking what they give me, play by play, playing each play as its own, not looking past or looking backwards. Like you say, a 2-yard run one time, but next play can be a 15-yard run. So long as it's like positive runs, I'm fine. And long as I'm helping move the chains or any one of my guys who else carrying the ball, long as it's positive runs, we fine. No negative runs, but just taking what they give us. Not being greedy, not thinking every play gonna be a touchdown. You like to have that mindset, but you gotta be real sometimes when it comes to college football. Like these guys are good too, we playing against. So just executing play by play, taking one play at a time. That's how I go about it.
Calvin, now Lewis, one more time. Going along with that, you can tell you as an offense feel so much better when you gain. You can play your pace and you can get up to the line and get going. You can just see that. And that first down is the biggest thing of all of that. And can you just talk about how much more fun it is to play offensively when you can play like the tempo you want to play rather than always battling the chips?
Most definitely. It feels great. And then, like, you can see it on the opposing team. Like, them guys be tired, man, especially at the pace we've been moving at lately. Like, them guys be trying to get subs. And I think we got them twice last week with the catching them off the field with too many people. Well, catch them on the field with too many people. So I love that pace we've been playing with, and it feels good, like, going out there scoring first drives. Like, that's something we struggled the last, couple weeks besides BYU and this week. But it feels good going and score that first drive. It's always extra motivation for me and the guys, and the hard work don't stop now. We go continue, like I said, week by week, day by day, practice by practice.
Eric Franson, one more time for you. You've had a great season so far, and you got your first touchdown this last game. How did that feel for you to finally break through and cross the goal line?
Ooh, for a minute, I thought I wasn't going to score this year. No, I'm playing. But it felt great, man. It was felt like my first touchdown ever in college football. It always feels good getting in the end zone, helping your team. And I can't take the credit. I got to give the credit to my O-line on that play, Sturge, Brian Cobbs with the outside block, and just me running the play at how we executed in practice. So I'm just thankful for them guys and my team.